The cafe was loud with lunchtime chatter, plates clinking and chairs scraping across the tiled floor. Still, somehow there was nowhere for her to belong. The girl stood just inside the doorway, thin shoulders tucked into a worn gray hoodie, fingers curled tightly around the strap of her backpack. Her left pant leg hung slightly stiff over a prosthetic limb, the careful way she shifted her weight revealing the effort behind each step. She scanned the room the way people do when they already expect the answer to be no. At a corner table near the window sat Daniel Reeves, a broad-shouldered man in his late 40s with tired eyes and a posture that never fully relaxed. A faded army jacket hung on the back of his chair. At his boots lay a German shepherd, alert but calm, ears twitching at every new sound. The dog noticed the girl before Daniel did. She tried one table. A woman avoided eye contact and shook her head. Another man pulled his chair closer to the table, blocking the empty seat beside him. No one spoke harshly. No one had to. The refusals were quiet, practiced, and final. Daniel watched without turning his head, only his eyes shifting. He recognized the look on her face, the one people wore when they'd already learned not to ask twice. The dog stood first. His body straightened, ears forward, gaze fixed on the girl as she made her slow way down the aisle. Daniel followed the dog's attention and finally saw her fully, the tension in her shoulders, the exhaustion beneath her careful balance. When she reached the last row of tables, only Daniel's booth remained with open space. She hesitated, bracing herself for one more rejection. Can I sit here?" she asked softly. Daniel didn't smile. He didn't ask questions. He simply slid his coffee toward the window side and nudged the opposite seat out with his boot. "Yeah," he said. The dog shifted too, turning his body slightly so she'd have room to sit without squeezing past him. She lowered herself into the booth slowly, relief flickering across her face before she hit it. Around them, the cafe noise continued, but at that table, a quiet understanding had already begun. They ate in near silence at first. The girl kept glancing toward the door, flinching when someone laughed too loudly. The dog, whose tag read Rex, moved closer under the table until his shoulder rested lightly against her leg, steady and warm. Daniel noticed the way her breathing slowed when the dog settled beside her. "I'm Lily," she said eventually, voice barely above the hum of the cafe. "Daniel," he replied. "This is Rex." Her fingers twisted the edge of a napkin. "I wasn't always like this," she said, tapping lightly against her prosthetic. "It happened last year." Daniel waited. "My brother worked for a construction company outside town. He found out they were dumping unsafe materials where they shouldn't. He kept copies of everything." Her jaw tightened. "Then his truck went off the road one night. They said he fell asleep." Daniel's gaze sharpened. "I didn't believe it," Lily continued. "I tried to take the files to someone. After that, things started happening. Being followed. Calls with no one there." She swallowed. "The crash that took my leg? They said it was icy roads." Rex lifted his head, ears angled toward the entrance as the cafe door opened. Lily's shoulders tensed instantly. "They still think I have the originals," she whispered. "I don't. But they don't know that." Through the window, a dark sedan idled across the street. Daniel's old instincts stirred, the ones he'd tried to bury after leaving the army. Rex let out a low, quiet rumble only Daniel could hear. "You got somewhere safe to go?" he asked. She shook her head. Daniel looked at the car again, then back at Lily. He saw the same vigilance he used to see in soldiers fresh from patrol, the kind that never really went away. "Finish your food," he said calmly. "You're not walking out of here alone." Lily blinked. "You don't even know me." Daniel stood, dropping cash on the table. Rex rose in one smooth motion. "I know enough," he said. Outside, the sedan's engine started. Rain began just as they reached Daniel's truck, thin drops turning the pavement slick. Rex positioned himself between Lily and the street while Daniel opened the passenger door. "Get in," he said. The sedan rolled slowly past the cafe entrance, then stopped at the corner. Daniel drove the long way home, taking turns without signaling, checking mirrors the way he used to overseas. The sedan followed for 3 blocks, then disappeared. At his small house on the edge of town, Rex did a full perimeter check before allowing Lily out of the truck. Inside, the place was neat, quiet, lived in by someone who preferred order over decoration. "You can stay tonight," Daniel said. "We'll figure the rest tomorrow." She nodded, exhaustion finally breaking through her guarded posture. Near midnight, headlights swept across the front windows and stopped. Rex was on his feet instantly, silent but rigid. Daniel moved to the side of the window and peeked through the curtain. Two men stepped out of a vehicle, heading toward the porch with the confidence of people who thought no one would stop them. Daniel picked up his phone and dialed a number he hadn't used in years. Tom? Yeah. I need a favor. Now. He turned to Lily. Back door. Stay behind Rex. A hard knock shook the front door. Open up. We just want to talk. Rex guided Lily down the back steps into the tree line behind the house, moving at a pace she could manage. When her footing slipped, he pressed his body against her leg to steady her. Minutes later, flashing red and blue lights flooded the yard. Tires crunched on gravel. Voices shouted commands. Daniel stepped onto the porch with his hands visible just as two police cruisers and a county patrol truck boxed the sedan in. By morning, statements were taken, names recorded, and the men in suits were suddenly less confident. Weeks later, investigators confirmed the illegal dumping scheme. Lily testified. The case spread wider than anyone expected. On a quiet afternoon months later, Lily sat on Daniel's porch, Rex's head resting against her knee. Can I stay? She asked softly. Daniel looked at the yard, the open gate, the dog who hadn't left her side since that day. Yeah, he said. You can stay.